Welcome to Hot Takes on the Classics. Before we begin today's show, we ask that you please go like us on the podcast platform of your choice. We would especially love a glowing review. And now, on to our show on this second season, a season on love. Love, quick to kindle in the gentle heart, seized the man with the fair form taken from me. The way of it afflicts me still. Love, which absolves no one beloved from loving, seized me so strongly with his charm that, as you see, it has not left me yet. Welcome to Hot Takes on the Classics, a gossipy gallop through the best books ever written. My name is Tim McIntosh, and that was spoken by Francesca from Dante's Inferno. I am joined by Emily Maeda for this, our second season, a season on love, and we are now looking at Eros, or desiring love, or romantic love. Emily, hello again.
Great to see you, Tim. How's it going?
Great to see you. It's going great. How's it going for you?
Great. Getting ready for a new school year. How about you?
I am sort of. Our 2-year-old is going to an outdoor daycare for 3 hours a day.
That's
and apparently
right.
She completely loves it.
It sounds amazing. I want to go to 3 hours outdoors every day. Can somebody send me to school, please?
Wouldn't that be great? So today, this is like a measure of how great it was. Today, we took, literally, it's just in the woods. There's kind of some, basic building structures, and they have a real building. But I take her in today, and she immediately wants to go to this sandbox underneath all these big oak trees. And next to the sandbox is a big plastic pail that's filled with pine cones and rainwater.
Amazing.
And that's where she wants to spend her whole time. I'm like,
amazing.
This is the best thing in the world.
Amazing. Being in a wood is actually really good for what we're going to be discussing today, too.
That's where we start in Dante's Inferno, isn't it? Yeah.
But before that, I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Have you been to Italy? Have you been to Italy before?
I have been to Italy.
Okay.
Rome,
and where did you go?
Florence, Vienna, Cinque Terre. Yeah.
Vienna.
I'm sorry, Venice. Pardon me, Vienna. You're like,
it's like, wait a second.
Geography is not a strong
on?
suit, McIntosh.
And do you know where Dante is buried? I just think this is really interesting.
I don't know. I would guess Florence.
I know. That's what everybody would guess. But little known fact, he's buried in Ravenna, and I saw his tomb. And I was as surprised as anyone else. Really,
why Ravenna?
Because he had been exiled from Florence, right?
Right.
And he was given sanctuary in Ravenna. So strangely enough, Dante's tomb is in Ravenna, which is a really cool city. Have you been there?
No. Where is it in Italy?
It's on the Adriatic side, and it's the capital of Italy, or of the Western Roman Empire after Rome falls. So there's all these beautiful churches there, and Dante is buried there. So there you go.
No idea. Had no idea.
There you go. But as we said, just as Arden was spending time in the woods, it's actually where the Divine Comedy begins with the Inferno. Dante finds himself in a wood. But before,
I awoke to find myself lost in a dark wood. Isn't that one of the opening line
that's
translations?
the opening line. Yeah. Isn't it such a great line?
It's such a great line.
I've been thinking about that line. Midway in the journey of our life, I came to myself in a dark wood, for the straight way was lost.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry to say, but you're middle-aged. I'm middle-aged.
It's true, right?
Isn't this a good description of middle age? It's like a midlife crisis a little bit, right? Midway in the
You've been around long enough that like your ideals have been in danger of being sanded down.
Exactly.
Or lost.
Exactly.
And you kind of wake up and you're like, wait, what am I doing? And maybe some of your ideals were actually kind of too youthful. They didn't
stand
match reality. They didn't stand up.
I know, but that's such a great opening line. And it's such a great, I can relate to his feeling. That's one of the great things about reading these books over and over again, is as a young person, you read a line like that and you're like, what is his problem? Come on, get yourself together. But you understand it, right? You understand it in a new way when you're actually
Yes.
experiencing it. You're like,
Right.
yes, I get, Dante, why you might have found yourself in a dark wood, for the straight way was lost. I've had that feeling now. But before we start with him, we should just give a little background on this, the Divine Comedy. He didn't call it the Divine Comedy. He just called it the comedy. But it encompasses 3 books, Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso. I kind of think that most people know the Inferno and Purgatory.
Surely.
Don't you think? Which
Surely.
is an interesting thing. Why doesn't anybody really know heaven that well? But
Yeah.
it's true. Like, often people read the Inferno or Purgatory and don't read Paradiso. But they're made up of cantos or verses. There's 33 plus an introductory one. So there's 100 cantos in the entire comedy. And I don't
It's
know
long.
if it's long, but I don't know if you saw this. I want to say it was 4 years ago. Torrey Honors College, which my daughter will shortly be attending, and Baylor Honors College, which my other daughter just graduated from, did a joint project called Dante in 100 Days. Did you see this?
No.
Oh, it was fantastic. So
What
I
did they
want to
do?
recommend it to everybody. So what they did, because it's true, a canto is not long. You can read it really easily.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, read a canto a day. You'll be able to read all of Dante in 100 days, and we'll give you little meditations on each canto every day. And so they did that with scholars from all over the U.S. It's great.
That's great.
It's great. It's a great way to tackle this elephant with help from people who really know a lot about it.
Yeah.
So I recommend it. If anybody's interested in reading Dante, it's a great way to approach reading Dante. And the scholars they have are fantastic. They're really fantastic. So
Emily, I've taught the entire comedy when I was teaching at Gutenberg College, and we raced through it.
did you?
And it was so difficult to comprehend.
Yes.
This is a poem because of its length and because it's medieval, let's be honest.
Yes, exactly.
And the allusions are medieval and classic and Catholic.
Yep.
And it is dense work, but it really rewards a slow reading. So something like 100 are you saying canto or canto?
I'm saying canto, but canto's fine. We're not Italian.
100 cantos in 100 days sounds like a nice leisurely pace. And you could actually kind of like dwell. Okay, what do they mean by this who is this 3-headed dog?
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Inferno? You can like research who that is.
Well, and as you're saying, one of the things about it is that Dante puts contemporaries into the poem. So, you're not a medieval historian, you're not going to really know who all these references are without the help of a commentary or somebody else sort of bringing that to life. So we'll do that a little bit, but we're actually going to deal only with one canto. We're just dealing with one. So,
Right. We're following our own advice. We're going slowly.
We're just going really slowly. So it's just one canto, but let's set up like the world that he creates. Okay, so first of all, why is it the comedy? Because in our minds, we hear comedy, we think sitcom, right? That's what we think. We think laughter, we think happiness. It is happy in the sense that it begins sadly and darkly, but it will end with arriving in paradise, in heaven. So it's not a tragedy where everybody dies. We've already talked about that, right? Tragedy, shorthand tragedy, everybody dies. Actually, stay tuned for a further episode. This will happen. Also, comedy is considered lesser. The highest form of dramatic interpretation was considered the tragedy, right? So
Right.
Dante was enamored, loved, devoted. What other adjective can we give to how he felt about Virgil? So Dante called the Aeneid alta tragedia, or the high tragedy. So when he names the comedy, he's also being modest, right? He's saying
He's deliberately putting himself in an inferior position compared to his great hero, Virgil.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Virgil is his guide through this journey that he's going to take through hell, purgatory, and then finally into heaven. So Virgil is his hero and his exemplar. And that's one of the things, don't you love that in this? How much honor and glory Dante gives to Virgil. Don't you love it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that, like, he creates this whole tale, imagining this man who he admires and respects as his guide. I mean, it's just great. Like, it's a great setup. Who would be your Virgil? Who would be your Virgil if you were going to write a book?
That's a great question. Oh my gosh, that's a great question.
I know. I just thought of that. That's a good dinner table discussion.
That's
isn't
a
it?
really good dinner table discussion.
Who would be your Virgil?
I'd have to
you don't
think
have
on
to
that
answer
one.
right now, but that's
Okay,
a good thing.
let me think on that one.
I know. Maybe we can come back to it after our hot take.
Hey, Emily, in your research, isn't part of the reason that it's also called a comedy is that it's a low form in that it's not written in Latin? It's
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm coming to that.
Got it. I'm scooping you.
Well, no, it's okay. Let's just talk about it. It is written in Italian, and it's really one of the first great works written in Italian. I mean, he is like Chaucer, who writes the Canterbury Tales in English. They're writing in the vernacular. They're not writing in Latin. Yeah. So it's not in the high language, right? Latin would be considered the high language. So he's called the father of Italian, just like Chaucer is called the father of English.
And if I understand it, Italians today speak Dante's Italian. So there are all these city-states in Italy. They all speak with a different enough dialect that, like, no one really knows what the true Italian is. My understanding is that some Italian poets of this time understood that if their work was great enough, it could have the effect of kind of galvanizing the language into a single tongue, and Dante apparently accomplished that.
He did. It's Florentinian Italian, right? It's what the people of Florence are speaking. He is Florentine. He gets himself into a lot of political trouble, and so he is exiled from Florence, hence his burial in Ravenna. It is interesting, after his death, the Florentines are like, oh, shoot, we screwed up. We should have brought him back. But his grave is never moved back to Florence, which is actually really fascinating.
Yeah.
He obviously loves Virgil, loves the epics, and he calls it a comedy, but it is really quite epic in scope, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
I mean, he does not name it an epic, but it is epic in scope. He is traversing hell, he's traversing purgatory, and he's entering into heaven. And all of these places are places with geography, right? There's a geography to this whole world that he is embodying and bringing to life. It's a lot like Paradise Lost, which Milton was completely indebted to Dante and Dante's conception of the afterlife, or of the world that we can't see. And this poem there are so many references throughout Western civilization that come back to this poem. I mean, we could spend an entire episode just on that. All of the things in art.
Do you think that the Divine Comedy belongs on Rushmore, top 4, as far as exerting influence? I'm not making you asking you to make a call on greatest. Yeah. But as far as influence,
I don't know. 4? Probably so. Don't you think? I mean, when I started thinking about all of the things that come back to this poem,
so many things.
Art, literature, music, theater, dance. I mean, everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so much baked into our cultural understanding. I mean, maybe it's getting lost now, but it's hard to separate it out from kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
You know? So one thing that I think makes it super compelling is that Dante uses the concept of contrapasso, or against the passions, right? Is against or opposed to, and passio is for passions. So it's this idea that the punishment is commensurate with the sin, or the punishment is directly related to the sin committed. And we're going to see that in the canto that we discuss. There's this great Spanish proverb that I think about all the time, and it's kind of this. And I asked my Spanish friend to repeat it, and I am going to say it in Spanish, even though I don't really speak Spanish. El pecado está en la penitencia. So the punishment is in the sin. Isn't that good?
The punishment is in the sin. Yeah.
So, for instance, if you're going to eat all sorts of fatty food and be gluttonous, you're going to be overweight.
You're going to feel horrible and bloated and overweight.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So but it's helpful for things that you sometimes don't think about. But it is funny that, but I think, don't you think that's one of the things that makes the Inferno and Purgatory, we want to find out, how does he think about this sin? And what is the commensurate punishment for this sin?
So a good example, just to give people kind of a handhold on it, false teachers are condemned in contrapasso style to walk backwards.
Yes.
Since they misled people, they themselves can't look forward. They have to walk backwards throughout their, throughout punishment.
Yes, exactly. So we'll talk about that, because that's kind of the whole thing here. So that's kind of that's the world that he's creating. He's taking us on a journey through these places, and he's speaking to a reality that lies outside of what can be seen. So midway in the journey of our life, I came to myself in a dark wood, for the straight way was lost. So the poem opens in hell. I mean, we're not in hell yet, but Inferno is the first part of the comedy. And Dante is greeted by Virgil, his teacher and guide, his exemplar. And Virgil tells him that he's been sent to Dante by Beatrice, his protectress. So I find Beatrice such a fascinating character, and the whole setup of this so fascinating, because according to Dante, he first saw her when he was 9 and she was 8, and he said that he fell madly in love with her, right?
Yes.
But he doesn't marry her. He marries somebody else, but she remains for him this guiding light throughout his life. So Beatrice has seen him going astray, losing his way, and she has entreated Virgil to come and help him so that he can find his way back to God, right? So that he can find his way to heaven. And when Virgil shows up, this is what Dante says to him, just so you can hear how Dante feels about Virgil. O glory and light of all other poets, let my long study and great love avail that made me delve so deep into your volume. You are my teacher and my author. You are the one from whom alone I took the noble style that brought me honor. So Virgil, he is not allowed into heaven, but he does want to bring Dante to Beatrice, who will guide him into heaven. And Dante says, okay, I'll go along on this journey. And he answers Virgil and he says, poet, I entreat you by the God you did not know, so that I may escape this harm and worse, lead me to the realms you've just described, that I may see St. Peter's gate and those you tell me who are so sorrowful. So he's going on this journey. He begins his descent into hell with Virgil, and hell has a layout. So it's a spiral going down. It's like a funnel, right? The smallest area is at the bottom. That's the lowest level of hell. The top level of hell is the best, quote unquote, level of hell. And there are 9 levels, and each gets successively worse. So the top, the first circle, is limbo, and it's for the virtuous pagans. So here's a reference. You know the book The First Circle by Alexander Solzhenitsyn?
Right. Yep. Right.
One of my favorite books.
To Dante.
It's a reference to Dante, The First Circle. And in Solzhenitsyn's mind, The First Circle was, this is about Soviet dissidents who were imprisoned, but they were so smart that the communist government realized that they could help the state. So they're in a nice prison, right? They're in a nice prison and they have a lot of amenities. But the whole question of the book is it better to be somewhere where you work hard and have a really hard physical life, but your mind is free? Or is it better to be in this place where you've got a nice physical life, but you are a captive of the state? So you can understand, right?
Yeah.
That's the setup of Solzhenitsyn. So it's bad, but it's not really bad, but that's sort of the torment of it. So that's the first level.
Right.
So now we're going to the second level. So from Dante's architecture, the second level, these people are not really bad. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
The lower you get in the cone of hell, the closer you get to the worst sins, the closer you get to Lucifer himself, and the nearer you are to the top, the mouth of this funnel, the more understandable your sins are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or possibly the more oriented to the good your sins could be.
Yeah.
Right? So I think this is a hard concept for modern people to hold, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, I don't think we think that way very much. But it's really interesting to think about it. So in our sort of, I don't know, salacious and yet prude culture that we have, sexual sin is often treated as like, you know, really bad.
Yeah.
For Dante, the second level is for those who have succumbed to lust. It's not as bad as others because in some ways there's still something good there that's been twisted, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not as bad. Okay, so they're entering into the second level, and who should be there but Minos? And I was like, wait, I was remembering, is this Minos of Crete? Yes, it is Minos of Crete, but he's a mythological figure. Here is the thing I did not realize. Okay, you know The Last Judgment by Michelangelo?
Yeah.
In the Sistine Chapel.
The big painting in the Sistine Chapel, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a horrible demon at the bottom who's got a tail and horns. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's Minos.
Is it really?
Yeah, because he's got his tail. So Dante meets him at the beginning, and his tail, when a sinner comes to his level, a condemned soul, Minos's tail wraps around him, and that tells what level of hell you're going to. So if it only goes two times around him, you're going to the second level.
Oh, I had no idea.
So it's so funny because it's a little bit like the Sorting Hat in Harry Potter, isn't it?
I have never read Harry Potter.
What?
I've never read Harry Potter. I've never read a single page.
What? We need to stop this podcast now, and you need to go read Harry Potter. This is ridiculous.
I kind of want to save it and read it with Arden.
What's that?
I kind of want to save it and read it with Arden. We can both be reading it for the first time. Oh my gosh. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, I envy you that. It's so fun to read. Anyway, if you knew Harry Potter, it's like the Sorting Hat. So you got to go to Minos and get to your level. I just think that's interesting, so I'm telling you about it. Okay,
he's the one who's going to grade you.
Yes.
On how bad
you are. And his tail tells you what level you get to go to. I just think that's interesting. Why did he think about it that way? This is what's great about this. There's all these little details like that. Okay.
I just want to say one other thing. I mean, you're talking about the Sistine Chapel. This was written in, and the Sistine Chapel was created in kind of pre-literate times, which is not to say times that lacked intelligence.
Right.
It was times when reading and writing were not really common throughout a populace. But visually, it was a very advanced society. So there would be all sorts of symbols when we look at the Sistine Chapel that would immediately make sense to the viewer because they'd be so steeped in these symbols and colors.
Yeah.
And I suspect that a lot of people, if they're regular church-going people, might have recognized the tail wrapping as a symbol that I don't get, you don't get. We need to kind of be like educated, inculcated into that symbolic tradition and legacy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I saw that, I just thought it was Beelzebub. I mean, there's lots of demons that you could be choosing from, right?
Yeah.
But once again, another thing that shows its influence and how it forms like the wallpaper of our culture, you know?
Yeah. Hey, do you know who the lower right, we're getting off on Sistine Chapel, the figure in the very lower rightmost corner of the Sistine Chapel was?
Well, is it the person who's like disintegrating?
Yeah, and it's the Pope.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of
work.
Michelangelo because he puts himself in there as like this skin that's disintegrating. Yeah, no.
Yeah. That's a different scene, though.
Okay.
This is like kind of like below Christ and below Mary.
Oh.
Above the doorway is the Pope who was at odds with Michelangelo during the creation of the Sistine Chapel.
Well,
That's called the Revenge.
I was thinking about that with this, like, you know, he who wields the pen is mightier than he who wields the sword, right? Like, if you were an enemy of Dante, you found yourself in this poem.
Yeah.
So, okay, so what's the contrapasso for lust? Well, he comes into the second level and he's greeted by wild winds. So the winds are symbolic of the fact that when these people were consumed by lust, they too were driven, you know, hither and non by their own passions. So now in hell, they're going to be driven by winds, right? So the winds are symbolic of their lack of ability to control their appetites. So it's really interesting. And one commentator I was reading was sort of commenting upon the fact it's not like he was talking about artists who portray sort of, you know, sexual tortures imposed upon people who were sexually deviant. That's not happening here, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting how Dante conceives of it. He conceives of the act of being moved, well, and we're going to talk about that, moved against your will, quote unquote. But is it really against your will? But that feeling of being moved by something that you can't control, now they're going to be controlled by the wind.
Yeah.
There's also 3 types of birds, which I love this. He keeps making sort of these, you know, like the epic simile. And 3 birds appear. There's starlings, there's cranes, and doves. Now, what's interesting to me is symbolically, I am sort of apt to give birds a positive association. Aren't you? Doves?
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
But in
Eagles.
This, yes.
Nobility.
Exactly.
Majesty.
Exactly. In this instance, the birds are sort of symbolic, the same thing, being driven by the wind, right? Being sort of animalistic in their desires. So Dante comes in, and this is one of the best parts of this poem. It's also part of the reason that you often need help reading it, is in each level, there are people from all of history there. Right? So you may not get who all the references are. That's why you need a good commentary or somebody to help you. But Dante comes in and here's who he sees. He sees Helen of Troy. He sees Cleopatra. He sees Dido. He sees Tristan. He sees Paris. So these are all famous lovers, right? Who have been overcome by lust. And all of them are there. Some people are mad that Dido's there because she killed herself. But that's what Dante gets to choose. He gets to choose.
He's the boss.
What's your greater sin?
Yeah.
Okay, so then finally we're about to meet our famous couple, and it's Francesca and Paolo, and you read Francesca's words at the beginning. Now, here is something that's really interesting. They were real people. They were contemporaries of Dante. This was a famous story. Francesca was married to kind of an awful man. And she fell in love with his brother, and they had an affair until her husband killed them both.
Yeah.
So here's interesting things. Francesca is the only woman to speak directly. We do get Beatrice's words, but as reported through Virgil. Francesca directly addresses Dante. And she speaks very beautifully. She's a gentlewoman. She has high speech, and she relates the story. And one of the interesting things is that she uses love over and over again at the beginning of her speech. She says, love did this. You heard that when we read the beginning. Love did this. Love did this. This is amore, the Italian word for love. But this is not the first time that we've seen amore. We first meet amore in a discussion of God's creation, that he created and set things in motion by love. So it's very interesting. She doesn't term what she is being punished for as lust. She terms it love. So
okay, do you take that as her being a little bit deceptive?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. Dante does a good job of giving her voice, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
He doesn't moralize.
He's not coachy. Yeah, that's right.
He doesn't moralize. So he does a good job of giving her words. And she says this is what happened. She and Paolo, they were just innocent, sitting together, reading a book. Guess what they were reading?
An Arthurian legend, right?
They sure were, in which Lancelot commits adultery with Guinevere. They were overcome by love. They were conquered by love and kissed each other. Yeah. And then they were murdered. And now they are endlessly flying through hell together.
I just want to say, we're about to read Romeo and Juliet on this
we sure are.
Program. And so many of Shakespeare's couples that meet during the play, I want to say all of them, but I'm just going to hedge my bets just a little bit.
Okay, good.
Because of Much Ado About Nothing and maybe a couple others, almost every single couple, it's love at first sight.
Yeah.
There is this sense that love overpowers. Eros love overpowers.
Yeah.
And you are swept into it. And that's the way that in that quote that I read, that Francesca looks at love. Love kind of conquered us.
Yes. This is the question.
And it has not left me yet.
Yes.
It's still troubling me. It's still haunting me. It's still got me under its power.
Yes. So this is the question. And Dante feels pity for her. He feels pity for her. So as I said, though, what is Dante saying about this? I mean, she is in hell. So
yeah.
So we'll keep going and think about this. But here's something that's so interesting, because she says that the book led them. And I think it's so fascinating to think about this. When Dante begins as a poet, he is definitely writing as a lyric poet, composing love sonnets very much in the vein of courtly love, right? He's very influenced by French poetry. And he is definitely in his earlier poetry putting this out, that this is what love is. That love, in some ways, just like what we got with Plato, love is contrary to reason, right? It leaves you powerless. You can't do anything. So it seems to me that he is repenting somewhat of his own previous vision of love, because they're obviously being punished for what they did, right?
Right,
I mean,
right.
If he was like, oh, this is great. But here is a line that is so moving. I underlined it when I read this earlier, and I came back to it and was like, oh, what a line. She says near the end, there is no greater sorrow than to recall our time of joy in wretchedness.
Yeah.
How true is that, right?
Yeah, right.
So here's what one commentator said. This is from Columbia's Dante Online, if you want to look it up. This is what one commentator said. Dante does not believe that desire per se is bad. He could not believe that desire is bad and hold, as he writes in Purgatorio, that desire is spiritual motion. Desire is the motor that moves us along the path of life. And ultimately, if we make right choices to God, we are propelled by desire, whether toward good or toward evil. Thus, Dante is not saying desire is bad, but it must be controlled and it must be subordinate to reason. So this idea that desire must be kept in check by reason, that reason must be the rider of the horse, is, as we know, stated in Dante's definition of lust. It is also a nod to the fundamental Aristotelianism that governs all the circles of incontinence in Dante's hell. So this commentator is picking up the point that contrapasso really, this isn't just drawn out of thin air. It's building on a long tradition that extends all the way back to Aristotle.
Yeah.
So true love then is a life force. It's a force that sets the stars in motion, which is what he says in the first canto. God sets the stars in motion by love.
And it's what we see, not to steal the thunder of the last book, but we're not going to get there in this podcast.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
what we see
exactly
in the final ascent up to heaven. Dante gets this picture of God, which is like breathtaking, almost it is indescribable. But one of the kind of pictures that he gets is that love, God's love, is the motional apparatus of everything that's happening in the universe.
Yes. And it sets everything in motion. And so desire is not the problem. That's why we're not Stoics. That's why we're not.
To call back to when we started this season of the podcast, we were reading C.S. Lewis's Four Loves.
Thank
and
you.
you had a bit of a quibble on this.
Yes.
Because you think that Lewis would read Dante and say, like, I'm not sure, Dante.
Oh,
I
no.
think the passions are to be avoided.
No, I mean, I don't think Lewis loved the Divine Comedy, so I'm sure he wouldn't say that. I do quibble with his setting out of Eros in the Four Loves, because I think he shortchanges it.
Yeah.
Right? That he wants to make Eros completely appetitive of the appetites, right?
Yeah.
And that's where it's located. And he doesn't give it its proper depth that Eros, this desiring, is properly a creaturely love. This is the love that we have for God. We hunger for him, right? Like Augustine's, our hearts are restless until they rest in you, right? That like hunger, thirst for the holiness of God is what leads the creature on. We can't rightly love God disinterestedly, would be. So in that
Dante
sense,
would completely agree with that.
He's on this boat. Yeah. So that's my quibble. I don't think that Lewis would say that about Dante, but I think that in the Four Loves, he doesn't examine that part of Eros.
Yeah.
So that's why, I mean, I'll make a little, because I don't think we're not reading any mid-century Catholic writers. We had discussed reading like the end of the affair here, I think.
Yep, we did.
But I'm just going to make the argument, which is a little bit departs from here, but that the mid-century Catholic writers, a lot of their books deal with Eros and misdirected Eros, and that is what leads somebody on to God, right? That experience of being overcome by love, that there is something outside of them that comes to them. They aren't just materialists. And that awakening, even if it is by illicit means, is what finally leads them to a full recognition of God's love.
And so in the end of the affair, if you haven't read it, there is a couple that gets together during the bombing of London.
Yeah.
And there's no kind of religious inclination in either of them, but the female of the couple kind of covertly begins attending church, and her lover, I think they're both married, begins to suspect that she's having an affair. Well, she is.
Yes.
She's having an affair with God.
With God. Well, so that's the perfect setup for this, right? That like that awakening, the awakening of being in love, makes them realize, oh, I was made for more than even this. Right. Yeah. I can't stop here. Yeah.
That to me is a perfect description of of Dante's understanding.
Yes.
And it shows up so brightly in this in this canto.
Yeah, so this canto shows like misdirected Eros, right? Because it's directed towards the two of them. But it's also why it's at the top level of hell, because it's really close to being good, right?
Yeah.
It's really close to being good. So we're talking about that, and we're going to talk about this again in Romeo and Juliet. From Plato, this experience of like love as being sort of a divine madness, right? Or something that is, do you think, and we're not Plato scholars, but do you think Plato sets it up as an antithesis to reason in some ways? Do you think he sets it up that way?
Oh gosh, based on the Phaedrus, that's what the initial statement is, that it's a madness. But then I think Socrates walks it back a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think by the end he synthesizes it with reason and the higher appetites.
Yes. So it's not, but I mean, and for all of us who have been in love, we understand this feeling, right?
Yeah.
But does it take our will from us? Does it leave us powerless to resist? Is it counter to reason? I mean, Dante would say no, right? He would say true love is not. Desire itself is good, not bad, but it has to be guided and guarded. And so there you get, once again, that amazing picture that Plato gives us of the chariot, right?
Yes, right.
It's such a good picture.
A noble horse, a wild and savage horse, both ruled by the charioteer that is reason. Yeah.
Pulling them in.
Yeah.
But also, like the only thing about that, doesn't it leave you a little bit cold? Because like people who push that too far, then, you get the feeling of the Stoics there too.
It all depends on what that charioteer looks
exactly.
like. I think.
Exactly.
Yeah, if the charioteer is just this kind of like cold-faced centurion, always doing his
tamping it down.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Then you get this kind of cold feeling. But if reason is part and parcel of the senses and the emotions and the passions, then it's not a cold feeling that you have. So it all depends on what you think. Who's sitting in the charioteer?
That's right.
Or who's sitting in the chariot, excuse me.
So I want to add Aquinas's definition of love to our thinking about love. Now that we've got Plato's, can we add Aquinas's?
Tell us who Aquinas is.
St. Thomas Aquinas. So St. Thomas Aquinas is a contemporary. He dies a little bit before Dante dies, but they're basically contemporaries. And St. Thomas Aquinas is the father of the Western Church who synthesizes Aristotle and Plato's thought into sort of the Western tradition, right? He really brings Aristotle back. So he describes 3 parts of love. I think this is so helpful, and I think it will help in our later discussions. He says that it's a unity where two become one without losing their distinctiveness. That's so good. It's a mutual indwelling. The two are present to each other, but also in each other. And then here's this last part. He also calls it an ecstasy. It's an experience that takes us outside of ourselves. So I think that aspect is the aspect that we're talking about, this thing of like feeling undone, right?
Yes.
like you can't control it.
Yeah.
And in true love, it opens you up to the beauty of reality, honestly. So we've already mentioned him. One of our favorite philosophers is D.C. Schindler. And he says that this is the last aspect that puts love in the realm of the beautiful, right? Because it comes from the outside. It's an experience, that like you're not creating, right? You feel it come upon you. And isn't that kind of what we're talking about? Well, we will be talking about it in Romeo and Juliet. Yeah.
And it's what we see in Francesca and Paolo.
Yeah, except this isn't a saving ecstasy, right? This is a disordered ecstasy. And it's,
right.
Yeah. So Francesca, her lament at the end is really like so chilling, isn't it? Because it's not one that leads towards goodness and truth. It's not consonant with reality. It's disordered. So, as you already said, Dante is walking through these worlds to finally be ready for the beatific vision, for the end of his desire, which is really what you've already said. It's this beautiful vision of the world as it is and how God's created it to be. And so for these lovers, Francesca and Paolo, they've turned their love aside and it's led to a dead end, right? But Dante is being given this vision so that he may not lose his way, right? So that he can find his way to the beatific vision.
Emily, I wonder what you make of this. Dante is both the writer and the character in the poem.
Which is amazing, yeah.
It is amazing. After this episode, he faints.
Yes, he does. Out of pity.
Out of pity. But you could take this. Do you take his pity to be something that he needs to be sort of coached out of in his ascent to paradise? In other words, is this like kind of like revealing a moment of weakness that he has too much sympathy for this couple that are now lodged in hell? Or do you take this as a sign of his kind of great humanity?
Or, can I throw another one?
Third option, please.
Is it pity because he senses that he maybe did this to other people through his own poetry?
Perhaps so. As you mentioned earlier, he was...
As all great art does to us, and I know you're going to be saying this in a further episode in Shakespeare, that is the amazing quality that great art shares. Because what is it?
Yeah.
It is left open to interpretation, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it is possibly that he hasn't been purified enough. Maybe it also is apt. Like he recognizes, Francesca was married to a really awful guy. It's pretty understandable why she fell in love with Paolo. How close they were.
So many of these great readings that we're doing on Eros they have characters who are afflicted by love, and how we understand them is really up for grabs. Like Francesco and Paolo, are we to have deep, deep sympathy with them, or are they? I mean, but how can we? They're in hell. I'm thinking about Anna Karenina is coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
By the time we get to the end of Anna Karenina, is she a character who is under judgment by Tolstoy, or is she the victim, the object of his sympathy?
Yeah.
And his likewise, he shows scorn at the society that kind of sealed her fate.
Yes.
And it's really gray.
It is. And I mean, I think, if everybody's honest, like this is something that we're all grappling with. Like we understand why you could be turned aside in this. Yeah. These situations come to us with our friends, with our families, with ourselves, possibly. And it is a warning, right?
It is.
Okay. Tim, here's my hot take.
Okay. I'm ready for it. I'm here for it.
I've got 2 hot takes.
Oh.
And I hope people are not going to be offended by my hot takes. I guess that's the whole point of the hot takes.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the hot take, Emily.
Okay. Dante, the Divine Comedy, is kind of People magazine for the medieval age. Now,
because it's so gossipy, you mean? Like
there's so much more than that. There's so much more than that. I'm not just saying it's that. I think this is an amazing book, but it is a little People magazine. Come on,
because it's
give it to agree with me.
Oh, I 100% agree with you, because there are all these famous characters.
Yes,
who their punishment or their reward shows up in the pages of this, in like the glossy pages of Dante's Divine Comedy. It's a great hot take. Because I absolutely support it.
Don't you see somebody getting Dante hot off the press? Wait, there is no printing press, so hot off whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they're reading it and like, oh my gosh, I'm in the 5th level of hell. He's such a jerk.
Yes, totally. No wonder he got exiled. So he was in the middle of this big, incredible political / social / familial / religious conflict.
Which we didn't even discuss.
We didn't even discuss it, but he definitely had a side. He wasn't just sort of a neutral artist who was not going to. He definitely had a side.
He was a Guelph.
And he got punished for it.
Yeah. Can we just say that the two factions, because they're kind of fun names, the Guelphs and the Ghibellines, like those are two fun names. And if you want to know more, you can go read about it, because I chose not to nerd out. But yeah, it is the People magazine. I mean, because Francesca and Paolo were real people, you know?
Yes.
So
right.
It is not just that. It is so much more than that. But it is one of the funny things is where he assigned all of his enemies. Right?
He puts them in hell.
Yeah, he puts them in hell. So anyway.
Okay, do you have a favorite I mean, it's a little gruesome to ask. A favorite punishment? A favorite contrapasso punishment?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think about the lowest level, which is ice cold. And you know who picks up on that? Who that informs his own story? Do you know? Do you know who I'm thinking of?
No.
Lewis in The Great Divorce. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Hell is really cold. And so, I mean, that's just what comes to my mind. I remember always being so struck by that because, of course, hell is presented as raging fire, but like the worst part is being frozen up to half of your body, right? You're so cold. And I was like, yeah, that's true. Like that's the lowest level of hell. Also, the lowest level of hell are for traitors.
Yes. It's so interesting who he considers to be the traitor.
Interesting.
Judas is a traitor.
Yes.
But so is, do you remember?
No, I'm not remembering.
Depending on how you interpret Julius Caesar by Shakespeare.
Oh, right.
One of the great heroes.
Right.
It's all about how...
Yes.
Why is his name escaping both of us right now?
Brutus?
I'm so embarrassed.
It's
Brutus, sorry.
Yeah.
Brutus and Cassius.
Yeah.
Who betrayed Julius Caesar.
I forgot that.
And you're like, but Julius Caesar betrayed the Republic.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's interesting because Dante is a monarchist. And so he would say like, oh, well, is it terrible that the Republic went away and we got a strong ruler instead?
Yeah, no. This is why kind of it's an endlessly fascinating book. Sometime you're going to have to answer the question, who is your Virgil? I'm going to have to answer that question too.
Okay.
This is a good question. I'm going to try that out at my next dinner party. Okay, you ready for some rapid questions?
Can I give you my favorite contrapasso?
Oh, please. Yeah, sorry.
The Simonists bought and sold ecclesiastical positions in the church, bought and sold sacraments, other church-related benefits. So the practice of simony was really an abuse at the time.
The Middle Ages, yes.
So his contrapasso for them, they're buried upside down.
That's right.
In holes, legs and feet sticking out, and their feet are set ablaze. And it's kind of an inversion of baptism.
Very good. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The exact opposite of what it should be.
That's very good. Okay, you ready?
Ready. Hot take number 2?
Oh, well, no. I'm going to give you rapid questions.
Great. I'm ready for rapid questions. Here we go.
Okay, my other hot take number 2. I kind of want to give it. Can I just give it?
Why not?
He's also the original horror story writer.
Oh.
Hell is totally a horror story. So I was talking to a friend who is a listener of our show and really enjoys it. And we were talking about Anna Karenina, which we're going to come to. And we were talking about the characters of Anna and Kitty. And I was like, Kitty is kind of a dull character to me.
Yep.
And Anna is really compelling. And I said, I feel that men sometimes have trouble writing a compelling, virtuous female character. Because this kind of gets to something in human nature, maybe our beatified souls. We kind of like looking at, the dark, right?
Yeah.
This is why we like Halloween. Like, we're fascinated by punishment, right? We're sort of fascinated by the femme fatale. We're not as compelled. It's actually hard to write something that's so good and overpowering. It's hard to write that compellingly. Do you agree?
It is. Yeah, I do agree.
Like, think about Jesus and Satan in Paradise Lost. Jesus
completely
is boring, and that's a terrible thing to say. And I don't mean that. It feels a little sacrilegious to say that.
Okay, but Emily, I'm going to steal your hot take from you. This is the reason why Paradiso is not read that often is because Beatrice is so boring. Beatrice is she's just always lecturing the foolish Dante. Yes. She's always on this higher level, and you're like smoke a cigarette or something, Beatrice.
Oh no! Oh no!
Everything is so elevated with her. She's so cold and boring.
Okay,
to your point.
Thank you. I was going through the list of female characters. Cosette from Les Miserables, boring.
Huh.
Okay, we could do this all day long.
We could do it all day. We could.
But anyway, that's my second hot take. Okay, rapid questions now.
Okay.
Aeneas and Dido or Francesca and Paolo?
Aeneas and Dido.
Oh. Dante or Chaucer?
Dante. With a bullet, yeah.
Florence or Ravenna?
Well, I've never been to Ravenna, so I'm going to vote for Florence. It's not much of a vote, though, yeah.
Okay, now, Virgil or Dante? You've got only one choice.
Oh, this is hard.
You've only got one choice. And there's a right
Dante.
choice. What?
Dante.
No, you can't answer that.
Yes, I do. I stand by it.
It has to be Virgil.
I'm not claiming it's easy.
By Dante's own words, it has to be Virgil.
But doesn't the apprentice sometimes surpass the master?
Wow, that's a hot take.
That is a hot take.
Okay, Tim, we better stop before everybody hates us.
Those were great hot takes.
Well,
I really appreciate it. Hey, we are continuing our next podcast also on Eros, but we want to thank the people that we are responsible to thank. Clark Stefanik, our beloved producer, and our musician, Tom Hagerman. He wrote and performed this music. Emily, can't wait to see you for our next hot take on the classic Romeo and Juliet.
Looking forward to it, Tim.
Me too.